about 10 days ago, I woke up in the morning and said to Lou, I need to go to Poland to help with all the terrible things that are happening in Ukraine. I've been watching the news over the weekend, and I think like a lot of people felt pretty helpless as to what was going on over there. Thought about what I could do, and it seemed fairly sensible really to try and get some money or some stuff together, take it over there, and just me and my van, and just help out for as long as I could really. Luckily Lou said yes, kind of, and on Monday morning I posted a request on social media, on Facebook and a local site called Nextdoor, asking for some donations from the community. And really I didn't really know what to expect. I was quite prepared to drive over myself with an empty van, buy as much as I could and give it to whoever needed it the most. As it turned out, the first donation started to arrive on Monday afternoon, at which point me and Ethan were balls deep in trying to fit a quarter-ton lintel into a fireplace. So I had to rush to get that done. At about 5 o'clock we'd finished it, and then by this time we'd probably had 3 or 4 people come to the house and really kindly donate some stuff I'd asked for. Then realised that I better start doing some planning, and I'd been given some information by a lady called Ula, who had set up a similar organisation in Taunton, who were collecting items for the Ukrainian appeal. She gave me some pointers, and as it turned out, there wasn't a massive need for clothes over there yet. I'd asked for clothes, and by the end of it, I've got now sitting here a mountain of clothes in the garage, which we're going to use in a few weeks to sell and use the money to go towards more help. Anyway, so Monday night come, and Laura was like, well, you better book the ferry and do all the paperwork, and she said, just go get your passport. This is 12 o'clock at night. Just go get your passport. I need the number for the ferry. No problem. Went to get my passport, and it expired about 6 months ago. We hadn't used it for the last 2 years, obviously, with COVID, so that was quite a shock really. But at which point I couldn't really do much, because I thought, well, let's see what we can do. Laura looked online, and the nearest appointment was a week in the future. So I was sat there thinking, oh shit, all these kind people are bringing in donations. I can't say that I haven't got a passport. Let's just run with it and see how it pans out. Very luckily, after a few conversations with the passport office in Peterborough, they speeded my application up, and on compassionate grounds I explained the situation, that I had a van full of donations going to Ukraine. They said, alright, we can get you a passport on Thursday, just be at the passport office in Peterborough on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock. So I did that, and that was fine. Anyway, back to Thursday morning, I planned to drive around the local area and collect donations from people who couldn't get them to me. As it turned out, we had so many kind people come to my house that I had no time to go anywhere. But we were amassing loads of donations, which were fairly well organised, but too much for me and Ethan to sort out. So very luckily, Louise and Lily and a South African guy, I think their name's Rory, and two more people from the village stayed for at least 4 hours helping me organise and load the van, and that was incredible, because without that help I'd have been stuck. It continued on Tuesday, we continued to organise and load the van, and At this point, on the Thursday night, I still had no idea what would happen with my passport. I was thinking, well, I could be stuck here for another 5 days before being able to go. So yeah, a lot of time loading, organising, getting documents sorted, and then on Wednesday morning, it was pretty much just me and Ethan. I mean, life went on. The kids had to go to school, you know, putting the bins out, getting organised. All this stuff was happening around preparing for the trip. So Wednesday, as I was becoming more aware of what was needed in Ukraine, I pretty much emptied the van, the ambulance, organised some more, and put in all the things that I had that were in most need in Ukraine. Sleeping bags and sanitary equipment and nappies, food, torches, camping equipment, etc. On the Wednesday, about 12 o'clock, I had a call from the passport office who said 9 o'clock, Peterborough office on Thursday morning, we'll sort your passport out. Brilliant. So about 12 o'clock on Wednesday night, I left for Peterborough. About 4 hour drive, arrived there 4 in the morning, stepped in the van, this is the van now fully loaded, so there's no room in the back to sleep, so on the front seats. Woke up, got the passport, which is okay, had a PCR test, which was a bit of a joke really, but anyway, that was I needed that to get to France. Had the PCR test, that was okay, and drove down to Dover to catch the ferry to Calais. Arrived at Dover, saw a long queue full of vans and lorries, and thought, well, I better queue up in there because that's where all the vans are. About 4 hours later, I was in this queue, and I got to the desk, and the woman said, "Why are you in this queue?" And I said, "Well, I thought I needed to be here." She said, "No, this is the queue for freight, for commercial goods. You should have gone in the public queue. You would have just driven straight through." So rather than being 2 hours early for my ferry, I was 2 hours late. But in that 4 hours, I'd updated my Facebook page a bit more, and it was incredible. It was a real shock. Andy Clues contacted me through Sam and said he would cover all my costs, my diesel, my tolls, whatever they may be. He said you shouldn't have to worry about the personal costs. I'll cover those for you, and also donate £500 into the fund I set up. And that was just incredible. That really shocked me. There'd been a lot of people that had come and donated and were very generous with what they had donated, but in terms of singular donations, it was incredible, and I was prepared to cover it myself, but it was so kind of Andy. Took a bit of stress out of the situation, and subsequent to that, there was a really lovely lady in Fivehead who donated another £500. Mike Herzberg, he donated £500, and it was, as this money was coming in, it's not just the money, it's knowing the people are behind what you're doing. It was a real boost. So thank you to everyone who donated, large or small. It's fantastic, so thank you, and I assure you the money is being and will be put to really good use. So I arrived in Calais about 8 at night. Now, when organising this trip, I was fully aware that there could be a big issue at customs. I'd printed a few forms off, but to be honest, not correctly, or if I met the wrong person on the wrong day, it could have been a big problem. But I was just of the mindset that whatever happens, I'll try and find the best solution to the problem. So on the ferry, I thought I'd have a beer just to try and chill myself out a little bit and think of some ways of convincing like a customs officer that I need to get to Poland. As it happened, I drove off the ferry. There was a sign to go to customs and a sign pretty much to go to the motorway. I turned left towards the motorway and never stopped. So people have been asking me how I got through customs. I don't know whether my situation was unique or lucky or what, but yeah, I imagine just a lot of luck really. So that was it. I thought when I got to France and through customs I would be euphoric, because that was the one biggest worry but whilst organising the trip. As it turned out, I looked at my sat nav and there was about 2,000 kilometres to drive and 20 hours of driving, and it suddenly dawned on me that this is now the next stage of the journey. Hopefully an uneventful journey, because a long drive you want it just to be straightforward, and in theory that's the simplest part. After arranging the passport and the COVID test and customs and the donations, it seemed quite straightforward, which luckily it was. So a lot of driving, slept in the van again when I could, but I was following updating my social media page as I was driving, and Ula, who helped set up this group in Taunton, was posting updates, and other people were posting updates about what was required in Ukraine and where it was required. And I quickly became aware that although not perfect, the Ukrainians who were getting to Poland were in a sense the lucky ones. They were being well looked after, they were being fed, they were being accommodated, albeit not in great circumstances. It became apparent that the real need was to get supplies into Ukraine, which seemed to be a bit of a problem. So long story short, again, I contacted Ula, who had a contact in a small town near Lubin in Poland called Kate, and she was organising a trip into Ukraine taking essential supplies. So I contacted Kate. She said, yeah, you can come with us, we'll sort out the documentation. And that was it. I arrived on Saturday morning at a help centre that the community of Svitnik had set up. And again, that was incredible. It had been set up for around 6 days, and during that time they were doing similar things to what we're doing in England. They're collecting donations, sorting out, organising, but obviously in Poland Ukrainians can reside, and I think they can stay there for 3 years now. So not only were they collecting donations and distributing them, they were actually finding accommodation for Ukrainian families in the local area, and it was just incredible. So I've got a chat to a few guys there, and they were just telling me some stories, and one of them was of a girl who had come in the day before with her family, and they told me that she had fled her home. The family had run to the border. They actually fled their home under gunfire. They were being shot at. They jumped out through a bathroom window. They ran to the woods, and that was it. That was 1 minute you're in your home with not too many problems, and the next minute you're getting shot at and you're in the woods, and life has changed more than I could probably even imagine. And that was probably the reason for me wanting to come here, was the thought of families like that having to leave their home for no fault of their own, especially when kids are involved. And I've got 2 young kids, and the thought of them walking down the street not knowing when they're ever going to, or if they can go home, and what the future holds, is just almost incomprehensible, especially in Europe. So yeah, I was told that this girl, I think she was 6, had told the centre her story, and they had to shut. They shut the doors for a time, and they all just cried. They just it's such an emotional time that they shut the doors and they cried and composed themselves, and obviously life goes on and they continue their amazing work. And it is amazing. They are amazing people. The Polish people, what they've done and what they're doing and what they're prepared to do is amazing. It's what we would do, I think, in England. We try and help as much as we can, and that's what they're doing. But they need our help, of course. So the day was spent at the centre, probably causing more problems than good. I can't speak Polish, and Polish people can speak some English, but it's not, the communication's not great. Obviously food and clothes are all labelled in Polish, so I was just trying to keep out of trouble, just moving boxes and organising, and just trying to understand what was going on there. So got to about 5 in the afternoon, and Kate said, look, time to get some rest, come with me. So she took me to her friend Shamak, Shamak was the man who had been organising, or who had organised a previous trip into Ukraine. I went with Shamak to Shamak's friend's house, Radak. So Shamak took me to Radak's house. I literally turned up with my bag, because my van stayed at the donation centre. I had my bag, and I walked into Radak and Margaret's home, who had apparently been given 10 minutes notice that I was coming, and they said, Peter, come and sit down, your home is now our home, make yourself comfy. So I sat down with Radak and his wife Margaret, and we had a chat and a few beers and some pizza, and Radak's friends from next door came over, and we chatted some more, and we drank some more, and at this time I didn't really know what was going on. I had an idea we'd go to Ukraine the next day, but I didn't know for certain. So I woke up the next morning with a bit of a hangover, and I tried to work out what was going on, and it wasn't even then obvious. I was being told bits of information, but really I was just kind of following basically seeing how it goes. By about 12 o'clock, it seemed we were going to make a move, so we went back to the donation centre. This is me and Radak, who had said the night before that he would not go to Ukraine, but I think because his wife would kill him. But now I think because I was with him, he felt obliged to come along. I'm not sure his wife knows even now that he went, but anyway, me and Radak left. We went to Shamak's house, who had been organising supplies for hospitals and the military, resistance base over in Ukraine. We met Kate again. We also met Martin and his friend, who were local politicians who would come with us. After moving a lot of boxes around and what have you, we set off to the supermarket. I was interviewed by a local Polish radio station. They were surprised that someone had driven over to help, but anyway, we then left the border. So I'm in the ambulance, Radak's with me. We have another 2 vans and a car, so 2 more vans full of supplies, the ambulance full of supplies. We meet Radak's mum on the way, and she gives us some home cooking, some little croissants, which was nice. And then we get to the Ukrainian border. On the border, you see it is how you see on the news. There's encampments, there's people everywhere, there's buses, there's cars, there's makeshift tents. It's quite crazy, but it's not that busy really, because people get shipped away quite quickly to refugee centres. So we get to the border, and to get from Poland to Ukraine, even before this had happened, was apparently very tricky. It takes a lot of checks, a lot of paperwork. Luckily we were with some local politicians, so they had arranged the paperwork. Shamak was in connection with a senior member of the military in Ukraine, so with the backing of the military and local officials, it was still quite tricky to get in. I had my passport, but for some reason I didn't take my V5 for the ambulance. So on about the third or fourth set of checks, Radak said, where's your vehicle passport? And I said, I don't have a vehicle passport, it's at home. And I could see in his face that this could be a big problem. Anyway, luckily Ethan was still at home, so I phoned him up. He took a picture of my V5, he sent it to me, which was a lifesaver really, because without that we wouldn't have got in. Radak took my phone, he says, you now have an electronic vehicle passport. And that's what it then became. It was we just said it was an electronic one, and that worked. So about an hour at the border, we finally got through. When we got into Ukraine, the roads are obviously empty. There's every 10 kilometres or so there's barricades and military checkpoints. The roads are shocking. The potholes, my goodness. I'm thinking I've still got to drive 2,000 kilometres back in the ambulance, and it's not going to make it in 10 kilometres. More of these potholes don't get much better, and it was night time, so it's hard to see. So again, I'm not really sure where we're going or what we're doing. I just follow the convoy, and we take a turn off this main road into a dusty alley. There's a big, a curtain-sided truck there that's empty, and the other two vans, unload all their supplies into the truck. And I was told that's going to a paediatric hospital in dire need of the supplies. The doctors and nurses who are staying there are amazing. They know the hospitals are being targeted, but they are staying to help. But they need the supplies to be able to help people. So when the supplies come to them, I saw some pictures of smiley doctors that, it's like Christmas morning, and it's like Christmas morning for them, and it gives them the ability to help, which I think is what everyone wants to do at the moment. So. At this point, I think, we're going to unload the ambulance's supplies into this truck and then turn around and go home. We got some pictures. Some men turned up, and then the guns come out, and you're like, wow, this is pretty serious stuff. They're just walking around with, I think, semi-machine guns or something. And that was it. I thought, we'll unload, turn around and go home. I said to Kate, what's going on? And she said, well, no, we're now going to go to a resistance base further into Ukraine. And that's what we did. We turned around, got back on the on the motorway. We drove another 40 or 50 kilometres maybe into a small town. It's pitch black at this point, so it's hard to see much. I get directed to where I need to go. There's like a big tower block. I don't know if it's some flats or a gym, or I'm not quite sure, a community centre. I reverse the ambulance up, and I get outside, and then all of a sudden a door opens and at least 20 men in military uniforms come out. We open the door to the ambulance, and we start unloading. At this point, the air raid sirens start going off, but no one seems too bothered. So I'm guessing, it's just a common occurrence, and just kind of follow suit really. Helped unload all the stuff, and it had been packed pretty well, if I do say so myself. And it just kept coming. They were telling me that this ambulance was like the TARDIS. It just kept coming and coming. And it was great to be able to think that things that have been donated by really generous people in my village and around were now where they needed to be, and most needed in Ukraine. It was fantastic, and I felt very proud to to be able to do that. And again, I thought that was it. I thought we'd shut the doors off and we'd drive away. That wasn't to be. We